So while Republicans try to deal with a president who is redefining what it means to be a conservative these days, Democrats have their own new issues. Progressives this week celebrated their scuttling of Amazon's plans for a major expansion in New York City and the 25,000 to 40,000 jobs and a larger tax base it would have brought with them. Senator Elizabeth Warren, among others, cheered the news. She tweeted that Amazon walked away, all because some elected officials in New York aren't sucking up to them enough. But a majority of New Yorkers and a majority of Democrats supported the Amazon deal in New York State. The episode exposed a growing rift nationally between the Democratic progressives and its traditional centrists. And joining me now is the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, who I guess would argue he's caught in the middle there. Welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
Well, Chuck, it's great to be here, but I'm a progressive, and I'm proud to be. Progressives are about jobs for working people. So that's an essential progressive value.
I read your op-ed in the New York Times, and you seem to blame Amazon for walking away. Yeah. But let me ask this. You also argued that it was a fair deal. Why did fellow progressives not trust you that you had come up with a good, fair deal? You called it on solid foundation.
Chuck, it's a democracy. I have no problem with my fellow progressives critiquing a deal or wanting more from Amazon. I wanted more from Amazon, too. But the bottom line is, this is an example of an abuse of corporate power. They had an agreement with the people of New York City. As you said, a majority of New Yorkers believed in it. They wanted the jobs. They wanted the revenue that would help us to create more affordable housing, better mass transit. Mm-hmm. There was a consensus in New York City. There were some people who stood apart. That's fine. That's democracy. I respect them. But Amazon just took their ball and went home. And what they did was confirm people's worst fears about corporate America. Here's the 1% dictating to everyone else, even though we gave them a fair deal. And I think it's going to frustrate people all over this country to see a company treat a neighborhood and a city like that.
Well, if you're in Amazon shoes, the deal that was offered to them, they take it, and then and now you want to change the deal. Is that, if you're in their shoes, that's what it might have looked like to them, did it not? How did it not look like, oh, it looks like they want to change the deal. How long do you plan on doing that? And at some point, I got 20 other cities in America offering me a similar.
No, you have to be a good corporate neighbor. And again, I think things are changing in this country. I think working people rightfully are demanding their fair share. They look at a situation where wealth and power is concentrated in the hands of the 1%. They don't like what they see, and they're demanding more back. So we said to Amazon, here's a fair deal. Bring us 25,000 to 40,000 jobs. You will get, ultimately, when you give us a lot of revenue in the bargain, you'll get some incentives. But we need to work together on behalf of this community. And they said they wanted a partnership. But the minute there were criticisms, they walked away. What does that say to working people, that a company would leave them high and dry simply because some people raised criticism? But they had a clear majority on their side. That's what bothers me. They were more concerned about their corporate image.
Do you think they were afraid of New York City politics and the PR that came?
Well, it sure looks that way.
The back pages of the tabloids? Is that
they
what you
couldn't handle the heat in the kitchen, is what it looks like. But they let a lot of working people down in the bargain.
I want to play you something from Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, because I'm curious to see if maybe there's some factual divide, if you will, on how this deal worked. Take a listen.
If we were willing to give Amazon if we're willing to give away $3 billion for this deal, we could invest those $3 billion in our district ourselves if we wanted to. We could hire out more teachers. We can fix our subways. We can put a lot of people to work for that money if we wanted to.
It seems a lot of people think that when you give a tax incentive, that somehow that's money you had over here and it was going over there. This is money that didn't exist, this $3 billion.
Correct.
Okay? Do you feel as if this is a problem in trying to explain how this deal worked?
Yeah, look, this was a deal that was going to bring $27 billion in revenue to the state and city for things like public education, mass transit, affordable housing. And that $3 billion would go back in tax incentives was only after we were getting the jobs and getting the revenue.
There's not $3 billion in money that exists anywhere, correct?
Exactly. Yes. So here's the bottom line. I think people were looking for fairness here. They were looking for a positive outcome for everyday people. That meant jobs. That meant revenue to improve their lives. We saw Amazon make that deal, then walk away. Now, in terms of the point you're raising about the progressive movement, I'm a proud progressive.
Right.
We have a city that is working. We have the most jobs we've ever had. We're the safest big city in America. Progressives can govern and also give back to working people. That's why we have paid sick leave. That's why I've announced a plan for paid vacation, 2 weeks paid vacation for everyone who works in New York City, because working people deserve more. We can do that in the context of a thriving economy. That's where progressives need to go.
What would you have done differently about this deal? If you could now that you know they walked away, is there anything you would have done differently, or would you have not endorsed it now in hindsight?
Look, I think you can't do hindsight in a case like this because it's so particular. Obviously, a group of very powerful people, the ultimate members of the 1%, got together in a boardroom in Seattle and made a very arbitrary decision. We couldn't have seen that coming. But here's the thing. I am a proud progressive, and what progressives need to do is show working people that we will get more for them, that we're going to stop this horrible reality of concentration of power in the hands of 1%. We had a chance here to do something very positive for our city and for working people. By the way, not minimum wage jobs, which we all believe in $15 minimum wage in the progressive movement. These were going to be even higher paying jobs that folks who lived in public housing could get, folks who went to our public schools could get. It would have been transcendent for so many families. The progressive movement needs to be about equality, but also about opportunity for working people.
Who are you speaking to here, Amazon or the progressive movement? It sounded like just now you were trying to explain to the progressive movement how economics works just now. I mean, it does seem as if that's the disconnect.
I am representing 8.6 million people, and a clear majority of those people believe we need more fairness in our economy, but of course we need jobs, we need growth, we need revenue. Progressives can do both. We're doing it in New York City every day. It can be done. And I think this is where we will resonate with the American people if we make clear we're on their side and we're going to produce for them.
You know, there was Barack Obama once quoted Ronald Reagan as saying progressives sometimes argue too much over how to divide the pie and not how to expand it. Do you think that is still a case now with the progressive movement?
I think the challenge is to show we can do both. And in New York City, we are doing both. We have 4.5 million jobs. We're raising wages, raising benefits, giving people universal health care. We're proving that progressives can achieve those things.
Amazon is not one of these companies that has been thought of as a total, you know, they just race through laws, and they've raised minimum wage, they raised voluntarily to $15. If you chased away an Amazon, are you worried it's going to chase away?
Oh, no, let's be clear. No one chased away. This was Amazon's arbitrary decision. We had an agreement. Okay. If I made an agreement with you, and there were issues that came up, but we had an agreement, you wouldn't call me in the dead of night and say, hey, we're taking our marbles and we're going home. Let's be clear about who made this decision. And this is the problem. When you have so much wealth and power in the hands of very few, it does not work for working people. I say there is plenty of money in this world, plenty of money in this country, but it's in the wrong hands. And Amazon is making my point for me. What they did was arbitrary and unfair to working people.
Do you plan to take this message nationally and run for president?
I have not ruled it out, but I'm going to take this message nationally any way you slice it, because this is a moment, Chuck. It's an urgent moment. There's an inequality in this country right now that is threatening to tear us apart. I feel real urgency about this. Look at what's happening. People in this country do not feel it's a fair country anymore. Working people don't feel they're getting rewarded for their labor. So when I say something to you like, we're going to mandate in New York City 2 weeks paid time off for every working person, we have to do that locally because our country doesn't do it. We're the only industrialized country on earth that does not grant paid time off for working people. What does that say to working people? The 1% get all the wealth despite the fact that the working people actually produce it. That's what I want to talk about.
Does the Amazon decision make it harder for you to run for president?
I don't think anything about the Amazon decision affects the bigger debate in this country about the fact if we don't address this income inequality, our country's security and stability is threatened. I'm going to be talking about that all over this nation.
Mr. Mayor, I'm run out of time. Appreciate you coming down.
Thank you, Chuck.
Sharing your views. Good to see you. Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.